Hello, seventh graders. Let's do a little review on multiplying and dividing rational numbers. The last video I posted had to do with adding and subtracting integers. So now let's switch it over to multiplying and dividing. So let's start with multiplying. And say we have two numbers with the same sign. So let's keep it easy to start. -2 times -3. Now, since they have the same signs, the product is going to be a positive. So if we have the same sign, that will yield a positive product. All right, so -2 times -3, it's going to be a positive, and 2 times 3 is 6. All right, well, what about fractions? Same rule applies. All right, same sign. Say we have -1/2 times -3/4. Same sign, so our product is going to be a positive. Now we're going to multiply fractions. When we multiply fractions, you can always cross-reduce. Nothing to really cross-reduce or cross-simplify here. So let's just do 1 times 3, which is 3. 2 times 4, which is 8. So our product there is a positive 3/8. Now what if they have different signs? So say we have 1 1/2 times -1 1/3. Now if they have different signs, like one's a positive, the other's a negative, that will give us a negative product. So different signs
Nicole DeVito, can you bring back those forms to me, please?
All right, sorry for the interruption. Different signs will yield a negative product. So we get a negative answer. And you guys already know this. So we know a positive times a negative will give us a negative, but now we've got some mixed numbers. So let's convert them to improper fractions. So 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3, so our new numerator is 3, all over 2, times 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4, so we have 4/3, and remember it keeps that negative sign. Now we can multiply straight across. We could cross-reduce there, but let's not in this case. So 3 times -4 is a -12, all over 6, and that simplifies to -2, which leads us to our next topic of discussion, which is dividing. So if the signs are different and you divide, it will also yield a negative answer. All right, so that's when we deal with two numbers at a time. Well, what if we deal with multiple factors at a time? So let's say we have -5/10 times +1/4 times -2. Now in this case, notice that we have two negative factors. So that leads us to our other observation that we made earlier in the year, was that if we have an even number of negatives, it will give us a positive product. All right, so if we have an even number of negative factors, our answer will be positive. So here we've got two negative factors. I know the answer is going to be positive. So let's actually do this. Let's write 5/10. As opposed to writing it as a decimal right now, let's write it in its fractional form. So we have -5/10 times 1/4 times -2. We want to write that as a fraction as well, so -2 over 1. Now we can multiply all of our numerators together. 5 times 1 is 5, times 2 is 10, so our numerator is 10. And I already know it's going to be positive. 10 times 4 is 40, times 1 is 40, so we have 10 over 40, which simplifies to 1/4. All right, and if we wanted to write that as a decimal, 1/4, everybody, is 25/100ths. All right, just a quick review on fractions, decimals. All right, they're both good. Now what if we have an odd number of negatives? So let's do a little easier example with just integers. So let's say we have -4 times -2 times -5. Well, I have an odd number of negative factors because I have 3 negative factors here. When this happens, we will get a negative answer. So an odd number of negatives will equal a negative. All right, so I know our product here is going to be negative, so let's break this down a little bit. Negative 4 times negative 2, well, that gives us a positive 8. Times negative 5, we drop down what we haven't done yet. 8 times negative 5, hey, look, signs are different. It's going to be negative. So that gives us a negative 40. All right, so key things to remember when multiplying. If you have an even number of negative factors, you get a positive answer. If you get an odd number of negative factors, you are going to get a negative answer. All right, now let's move on a little bit. Pause the video if you need to. Let's go right to dividing, which is very similar. So number 2, dividing. And division works the same way. All right, say we have negative 8 divided by negative 2. All right, we're just dealing with two numbers here. So if they have the same signs, it will give us a positive quotient or answer to a division question. So negative 8 divided by negative 2 will give us a positive 4 because 8 divided by 2 is 4. Their signs are the same, so it's going to be positive. Now, if they have different signs, like say we have negative 1/3 divided by 1/2, since these two numbers have different signs, we will get a negative answer. So if we have different signs, we will get a negative answer or a negative quotient. All right. Now I chose this one intentionally because dividing fractions, it's always fun because we have to change that division. So negative 1/3 divided by 1/2 is really the same as saying negative 1/3 times the reciprocal of 1/2, which is our divisor, and the reciprocal of 1/2 is 2/1. We simply flip the divisor, or that second number. All right, now we can multiply straight across. Negative 1 times 2 is negative 2. 3 times 1 is 3, so our quotient is negative 2/3. All right, so dividing, the rules are essentially the same as multiplying. If you're dealing with two numbers, same signs will give you positive. If you're dealing with two numbers and they have different signs, you will get a negative. All right, the odd and negative number of factors still apply to dividing. All right, guys, so that's today's lesson. I think you're prepared right now to go on to IXL and work on the skill H15. All right, and this is multiplying and dividing rational numbers. If you guys have any questions, feel free to email me. Feel free to leave a comment in our Google Classroom. All right, I'll get back to you at some point. All right, guys, so show up, hustle, repeat.